Living in the wish fulfilled, ignore your current limitation. This is Hyptoria, hypnotize you to manifest. If you're waiting for your reality to shift before you allow yourself to believe, you're too late. What you see is not the truth, it's an echo.
Your present world, the bills, the body, the bank account, the silence from the person you love, none of it is current. It's a projection of thoughts and assumptions you rehearsed long before now. Reality is not instant, it lags.
Like light traveling from a distant star, it takes time for your inner world to register into form. So by the time your senses register what is, it's already become what was. You're looking at expired energy.
This is the first great disarming, to realize your senses report the past. Think of reality not as a prophecy, but as a report card, neutral feedback from your previous state of being.
But here's where most people get stuck. They observe the old, become emotional about it, and unknowingly reactivate the very thing they wish would end. They are caught in the loop of looking at the mirror and trying to change the reflection without touching the face.
You must choose to live beyond what you see. You must come to trust something deeper than confirmation, deeper than appearances. Because the physical world is only the tip of the iceberg, a sliver of a much bigger reality that begins in you. When you understand that what you see is old, you begin to relate to your desires differently. They stop feeling like distant wishes and start feeling like seeds already planted, already becoming.
Lesson 1. What you see is old.
The illusion most people live under is this. When it shows up, I will feel fulfilled. But manifestation is backwards. To bring it in, you must feel fulfilled before it shows. You have to choose to feel it real in silence, in solitude, in faith. It's not about convincing the world. It's about being so sure within yourself that the world eventually has no choice but to reflect you. You don't create by effort, you create by identity. Who are you being when no one is watching? What are you assuming before the evidence appears? What inner posture are you rehearsing in the quiet between thoughts?
The conscious mind is always tempted to react to the bank statement, to the inbox, to the absence, but the creative power is not in reaction, it's in selection. You are not here to argue with the 3D. You are here to select your frequency, choose your state, and sustain it long enough for the world to catch up. The more you train yourself to bypass immediate proof, the easier it gets. Let this truth settle into your bones. The world is not personal, it's reflective. It doesn't show you what you want, it shows you what you are. Is not what you say, it's what you feel as real. So, ask yourself, what have I been accepting as real? Lack, delay, being stuck? Have I been rehearsing the same old thoughts, expecting a new picture? This is your permission to stop waiting and start embodying. Your dreams are not distant, they are dormant, stored in your inner world like film inside a camera. But unless you expose them to the light of your sustained belief, they remain undeveloped. You don't need to fight for manifestation, you only need to dissolve the illusion that what you see is who you are. You are the cause, never the effect. Time is not your obstacle. Belief is. The version of you that has what you want already exists, not in the future, but in consciousness. And if you align with that version now, your world will be rearranged accordingly. This is not magic. This is law. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Imagine it done, not half done, not almost there, done. Feel the tone, the weightlessness, the ease, the wholeness. Let it be so vivid inside that it overrides the outside. Then open your eyes and carry that inner knowing into the world, not to get anything, but to claim what already belongs to you. This is the art of spiritual authorship. You stop reading the script and start writing it. Life doesn't show up to convince you, it shows up to reflect you. And when you stop defining your future by your present, the present begins to melt. Nothing is set, it's only held in place by your agreement. Withdraw your consent from the scenes you no longer wish to live. The moment you stop reacting to them, they begin to dissolve. You're not stuck, you're simply tuned into a station you've outgrown. Change the station, and live as if the signal of your new world is already broadcasting. Because it is. You've outgrown the need for proof. Now live from the knowing, live from the inner claim. The visible will follow the invisible, it always does. What shows up next is not coming from the outside in, it's coming from the inside out, and it's already on its way. Lesson 2. The state of the wish fulfilled.
There is a world inside you where all things are possible, a place not limited by the timing of external events or the opinions of others. You've touched it before in moments of peace, in daydreams that felt more real than reality, in quiet seconds where you felt complete without any change on the outside. That inner realm is not fantasy. It's your original canvas, the blueprint behind all appearances, and the version of you who already has what you desire. They already exist there. The question isn't how to make it real. The question is, will you step into their state? This is more than thinking a new thought. This is full immersion into a new being. The state of the wish fulfilled is not a future destination. It's a frequency, a posture of consciousness you can inhabit now. You do not move through time to arrive at your desire. You move through states. Your state is your home address in consciousness. And from that address, certain events must come find you. So instead of chasing outcomes, you relocate your awareness. You claim a new inner identity, the one who already is, who already has, who already knows. To understand state, you must release the habit of defining yourself by what your senses currently report. No matter what the 3D is showing you right now, bills, silence, delay, it has no authorship over your inner being. The state exists independently of circumstance. Your senses may scream, "It's not here yet," but the state whispers, "It's already done." And when you trust that whisper, more than the volume of evidence around you, you enter the realm of creation. This is not about pretending. It's not forcing elation. You don't need to fake happiness or paste on positivity. The secret is in simplicity. Feel what it's like to already be the one who has received. What is their mood? What is their peace? How do they walk into a room? How do they respond to life? You begin to know the state by the way it settles your breath, by the ease it puts in your shoulders, by the soft assurance behind your smile. Nothing left to chase. There is only the remembering, "Ah, yes, I already have it." Living in the state doesn't mean you won't be tempted. The physical world will still knock, sometimes gently, sometimes loudly, trying to measure your conviction. But you're not here to negotiate with facts. You are the writer, not the reader. And when you hold your state consistently, calmly, lovingly, the outer world softens in surrender. It begins to conform because it must. Every time you choose to dwell in your desired state, you become magnetic to its reflection. Your conversations change subtly. Your perception bends. Little doors begin to open. And what used to look like obstacles now operate as bridges. You find yourself in moments that feel like déjà vu, but they're not from the past. They're echoes of your chosen future, returning to greet you in time. Stability in the state is not about effort. It's about familiarity. The more often you visit that inner version of yourself, the one with the successful business, the thriving relationship, the radiant health, the easier it becomes to remain there. So don't force it, float into it, rehearse it in silence, soak in it in the morning before the world awakens, rest in it at night like a lullaby. The state loves gentleness. You don't summon it by will, you relax into it by knowing. Who would you be if this were already done? Not what would you do, but who would you be? That being is your golden ticket. That being is the creator. And the moment you identify as that, the world responds to confirm the identity you've chosen. There's no waiting for permission. There's no condition you must meet first. The key is already in your hand. The door is already open. Don't ask how, and don't ask when. Ask from where, from which state are you being now? Because that is what determines what happens next. You don't have to climb to your dream. You don't have to chase your future. Let it come to you, through you, because you chose to become it now. Lesson 3. Stop reacting to the 3D. The world you see with your eyes is not the initiator. It is the result. It's the shadow, not the source. And yet, isn't it tempting to believe otherwise? To treat the emails, the zeros in your bank account, the silence from someone you've been thinking about, as truth. You glance around your current circumstances and immediately assign meaning. This means it's not working. That means it's over. This proves I'm still stuck. And with every emotional reaction to appearances, you unknowingly reinvest in the very things you wish to be free from. It's not your fault. This is how we were trained. If something looks bad, push against it. Worry about it, fix it. But reacting is reactivating. Reacting is mentally saying, yes, I agree, this is real to me. What you may not realize is you're wiring your nervous system,
and your reality to keep echoing the same story. Every time you label something as a problem and respond with fear, doubt, or forcing, you give it more life. You're not just observing the world, you're perpetuating it. The 3D world is like a movie screen. If you don't like the scene, you don't walk up to the screen to change it, you go back and rewrite the script. The script is the imaginal act. The script is your inner dialogue. It's the quiet assumptions you carry and the identity you dwell in without noticing. When you shift that, truly shift where you're living inside, the scene must eventually follow. But not if you keep reacting to what the camera is showing right now. The film has already been shot. The reel is already spinning. All you're seeing is a delayed projection of consciousness. This is why something radical is required. Something most don't do because it feels unnatural at first. You must stop emotionally reacting to what you don't want. You have to become unbothered by delay, silent in the face of contrast, and still when the old version tries to arise. Not because you're denying reality, but because you're no longer enslaved to it. Pausing instead of reacting is power. It's one of the most potent shifts you'll ever make. When you pause, breathe, and withhold your usual knee-jerk spiral of thoughts, something mystical happens. You stop reinforcing the past. You stop being a match to the old state. And in that sacred gap, you create space. Space for something new to emerge, not from striving, but because you no longer energize its opposite. Think of your reactions as votes. Every reaction is casting a ballot for a specific version of you. The you who is ignored or abundant. The you who is always struggling, or the you who always lands on her feet. The you who is invisible or irresistible. Which version are you electing with your responses? When you allow circumstances to dictate your internal kingdom, you dethrone yourself, handing over creative dominion to external noise. You weren't born to be a thermometer, reflecting the temperature around you. You are the thermostat. You set the tone, and the world adjusts. Choosing peace amidst chaos is not passivity, it's creation. Choosing to feel the truth of who you are, rather than what is showing, is the greatest spiritual rebellion there is. It is how masters move. It is how intentions become incarnations. Be still though the winds scream. Walk on water even when the storm rages. If you can remain loyal to your inner reality, the outer must reform around it. Try this the next time negativity wants your attention. Pause. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening again?" ask, "What state is this trying to pull me into?" And then choose differently. Choose not to unconsciously agree. Choose not to narrate the old story again. Choose not to spiral into the very identity you're emerging from. Breathe. Step outside the scene in your mind. Look at it like a character in a play. Ah, this is the old temptation. The bait. The invitation to drop my power. Smile. You don't have to RSVP. The wish fulfilled doesn't react. It rests. It radiates. It knows. And if you're truly living from that space, the space where it's already yours, then the fluctuations of life lose their grip. You don't need to fight them, analyze them, or make meaning of them. You just keep going. You continue being. You persist in your preferred identity, not by force, not with tension, but with devotion. You are not here to obey reality. You are here to command it. But that command isn't loud. It isn't pushy. It's quiet, inner, stable. The command is your chosen state, the one you return to, over and over, like a spiritual home. That is your job. Return, and return again. Eventually, the echoes of who you used to be will die off, like embers fading from a fire you stopped feeding, and in their place, an entirely new world will begin to form. Not because you fought against the old, but because you stopped reacting to it and started remembering who you really are. Lesson 4. Feeling is the only reality. You've been taught to think your way into solutions. But manifestation is not about thinking. It's about knowing. It's about being. And being only happens when you feel. Not the fleeting emotions of mood swings. Not the excitement that fades. But a deep, settled embodiment of, this is mine. This is me. It's done. That inner knowing, that quiet certainty that doesn't need proof, is the creative force behind all transformation. Feeling is the only reality, because what you feel is true, you become. There's a profound difference between wishing and having. Wanting keeps your desire out of reach. It stretches it,
onto some faraway timeline where you're always grasping but never touching. Feeling, however, true feeling, brings your desire into now. It arrests time, it overrides doubt, it collapses the illusion of separation and establishes union. When you feel it alive within you, reality must submit. It has no choice. The subconscious mind does not respond to effort, struggle, or hustle. It is not convinced by repetition alone. It is moved by feeling. It absorbs only what you accept as a fact within your inner world. So the question is not, how can I make this happen? The question is, how would I feel if it already had? Because in that question lies your entrance point, the door to the state where creation really begins. This is not about faking it or forcing it. It's not about desperately trying to maintain a high vibration. That approach leads to burnout because it's rooted in fear and control. True feeling, effortless, grounded, relaxed knowing comes from surrender, not struggle. The version of you who already has your desire doesn't need to try so hard. They don't need to monitor thoughts like a hawk or police every detail of reality. Why? Because it's already done. So if you can touch that frequency, even softly, and rest in that identity, the shift begins in silence. Let the feeling rise inside you. What would it be like to walk through that door and see your new life waiting for you? How would your body move? How would your breath change? What would your inner talk sound like? Not what you want, but what you are. Your senses might protest. The mirror might try to show you the opposite. But that's fine. You're not trying to change the mirror. You're changing the face in front of it. The mirror doesn't lie. It simply reflects. So, if you want to experience a new scene, you have to activate a new script. That script is written with feeling. Your job is not to manufacture an outcome. Your job is to live fully in the inner reality where it already exists. To treat that inner state as more real than what your eyes can see. And here lies the paradox. When you stop needing outer proof, you create the conditions for the proof to come. Why? Because you are no longer waiting, you are being. And the universe is unconditional. It responds to who you are, not what you hope. Let yourself feel the joy now. Let yourself feel the ease now. Let yourself sit in the freedom that says, I am already the one who has this. Watch how the old version of you quiets down. Watch how the urgency melts away. Because when the feeling shifts, the scene must shift. It is universal law. It is spiritual physics. Inner conviction always precedes outer confirmation. This is the secret sacred artists have always known. This is the flow state that athletes drop into. The effortless alignment that mystics and seers embody before miracles unfold. They weren't working harder. They weren't calculating more. They felt it. They became it. They let the outer world rearrange around their inner alignment. And so will you. Stop looking for signs and start becoming the sign. Stop asking for timelines. You are time. The frequency of your assumed state bends time to you. Feeling is your portal. Feeling is the evidence. When it's real inside you, it cannot stay hidden outside you. Trust it.
You're not here to wish.
You're here to feel, and therefore, to be. Lesson 5. Assume it is already so. Assuming is not wishful thinking. It is not hoping. It is not begging the universe with crossed fingers and anxious prayers. To assume is to step inside the completed picture. It's what you do when you sit down in a chair without checking if it will hold your weight. It's a silent knowing, an inner click that says, this is who I am, this is mine. Assumption is the invisible womb of manifestation, the inner stance that makes creation inevitable. There is a magical threshold you cross when your desire feels normal, not special, not out there, but familiar. The version of you who has it no longer longs for it. Why? Because it already is. To that self, the desire has graduated into fact. It's no longer amazing, it's obvious. And so, the bridge of incidents begins unfolding, not because you're chasing, but because you're living the truth of what already is. This is the secret. The universal mirror reflects not what you want, but what you are. You can scream into the void and nothing may happen, but the moment your inner speech changes, the moment your internal landscape shifts into I have, I am, it is done. Reality responds. Not reluctantly, but instantly. It may take time to arrive visibly, but the mechanism is immediate. And assumption is the ignition. If you always feel like you're reaching or waiting,
It's because you're still dwelling in the self that does not yet have. The seeker never finds. But the one who assumes, who claims with calm authority, walks into rooms differently. They don't repeat affirmations to become worthy. They breathe from worthiness because they already are. Their frequency is factual. They aren't trying to convince the world. They're simply remembering their place in it. Your assumption doesn't need outer permission. The world doesn't need to agree. Faith is not consensus. Reality has no choice but to follow the pattern your consciousness sustains, not occasionally, but unfailingly, because that is its law. When you assume, you do not argue with the 3D. You don't debate the facts, you transcend them. Here's the beauty. You don't have to force yourself to believe. You only need to feel it long enough for it to feel real. Let your assumption coil around you like a second skin. Let it melt into the mundane. Let the dream become your normal. When you do this, your energy no longer says, I want this. It says, this is just how it is. And that's when reality has no choice but to conform. This shift doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Often, it's subtle, a soft detachment, a shrug that says, obviously it's mine. That detachment is not apathy. It is sovereignty. You're no longer negotiating your desire with life. You're declaring it finished business. When you assume, you stop checking. You stop needing predictions, signs, or omens. The seed planted does not need to dig itself up every morning to confirm it's growing. It simply lets the soil do its work. Likewise, assumption is planting. You decide and walk away, not from the desire, but from the doubt. You walk forward as the one who knows. This is not about ignoring your human emotions. It's about what you're loyal to. You can feel fear and still return to the state where the wish is fulfilled. And when you do, the fear no longer owns you. You are anchored in something more solid than mood. You are rooted in identity. Every masterpiece begins as a mental blueprint. The artist sees the final result before a single stroke hits the canvas. You are that artist. You are the author of your script. Assumption is the pen in your hand. You're not here to observe a script already written. You're here to write it. Describe your scene as it should be, then enter it. Not someday. Now. Enter through the portal of assumption. And when things around you scream the opposite, when the facts appear louder than your faith, remember this. Facts are just old assumptions hardened into form, and they will shift the moment you shift. So, who are you now that it's done? How are you walking, speaking, loving, responding? Live from that tone. Rehearse that reality until it becomes your only channel. Fall asleep in it. Wake up in it. Let assumption be your home, and the world your echo. Lesson 6. Ignore the evidence. Believe the end. The greatest test of your embodiment will come when everything tells you you're wrong. You look around and see no confirmation, no movement, no flickers of change. Just the same scenery, the same bank account, the same silence in love, the same symptoms in the body. And yet, inside, something already shifted. You felt it, you claimed it, you moved into a new reality in consciousness. But now your world is pushing back, whispering, nothing's changed. Who are you kidding? This is the temptation that breaks most people. The moment when the senses shout louder than the soul, and the dreamer returns to sleep. But this is also the divine test. The initiation that asks, will you be loyal to the unseen or obedient to the visible? Will you believe what's loud or what's real? Your outer world is slow to catch up, not because it's broken, but because it's operated by momentum. Yesterday's beliefs are still dripping into today's canvas. But make no mistake, if you've truly moved in consciousness, if you've made the final assumption that your wish is done, the outer must obey. Time is only the delay between your inner command and the world's reconfiguration. The echo has to die before the new song can play. To ignore the evidence doesn't mean resisting reality. Resistance only keeps it active. Ignoring means becoming unavailable, not entertaining facts from the level of fear or doubt. It is radical inner focus, not denial. Denial is the mind saying, that's not real, while secretly believing it is. But divine ignorance is the soul saying, I choose to no longer call this true, not because I'm afraid of the facts, but because I know something deeper than facts. Faith. Faith is not hope dressed up in spiritual words. Faith is identity. It is memory. It is standing inside the wish fulfilled with such stillness that no appearance can shake it.
When you operate from the end, you are no longer reacting to whether your outer world is playing along, because you're already at the destination. What happens on the way is none of your business. You've already arrived.
The path may twist, people may laugh, loved ones may question your sanity, but creation doesn't bloom where it's acknowledged, it blooms where it's honored. The soil doesn't need the seed to make a speech before it grows, it just needs it to stay put, believed in, watered by consistency. The same goes for your desire. If you believed it once, don't wander from it. Don't redig the seed every morning looking for signs. Let it grow, regardless of the weather. The maturity of your manifestation practice lives here. In silence, in discipline, in obsession with the end, even when the middle is messy. When everyone else sees unmet goals, you see a fulfilled destiny. And you live as though it's done. Not to trick life, but to tell it who you are. This is not spiritual bypassing, it is spiritual authority. There's a difference. Authority says, I declare what is true of me and I persist until it organizes around me. Creation was never democratic. Life doesn't need a vote from your environment before it shifts. But it does need leadership from your inner world, and you are that leader. You'll feel crazy some days. You'll hold two realities in your hands, the one you're living and the one you've chosen. The difference between success and surrender is which hand you let go of. The dream might feel invisible, but it's more real than the so-called facts. Facts change, presence doesn't. So how do you do it? How do you remain in your assumption without seeing the reward? You live for the delight of the end, not the evidence of it. You wake up and carry the mood of the version of you who already crossed the finish line. You treat every current lack as outdated information, because it is. If something contradicts your desire, it's not a warning, it's an arrival cue. The illusion always screams loudest right before it breaks. You must become so unimpressed by what appears real that you forget it used to bother you. You must fall so in love with your chosen end that it feels impolite to question it. Let this chapter be your permission slip to stop waiting on signs. There is no sign coming that means more than your assumption. You believing it is the confirmation. Nothing else is required. And when the world starts to shake, when delay visits, when circumstances contradict, when shadows rise, smile, not because you enjoy the turbulence, but because now you know. The end is closer than ever. The noise means the lie is losing power. The breakdown is the signal of breakthrough. Stay still, stay loyal, stay in the wish fulfilled. Reality can only resist you for so long, but you are eternal. Eventually, it will surrender. It always does. Lesson 7. Identity over circumstance. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. This is the key most miss. They say the affirmations, they visualize the new life, they feel the feelings, and yet nothing moves. Weeks go by, then months. Why is it not here yet? They ask. What they don't realize is that all the techniques in the world cannot override who they believe they are deep down. Circumstances don't change because you wish them to, they change because you become someone new. Desire doesn't manifest by hope, it manifests by embodiment. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. Trying to attract, while still identifying as the person who lacks, is like calling yourself a butterfly, but refusing to leave the cocoon. The universe doesn't hear what you say, it matches what you claim as real within. If you keep begging for change, while secretly anchoring yourself in the identity of someone who doesn't have it, your world will continue to mirror that back to you. Not to punish you, but to confirm who you think you are. But the good news? Identity is not fixed, it's chosen. There is nothing binding you to a lesser version of yourself, except your agreement with it. The stories you keep repeating, the roles you continue rehearsing, the definitions you've accepted, all of it can be dissolved in an instant, the moment you declare, I am not that anymore. Identity isn't history, it's decision. Who are you without your limitation? The version of you who already has the life you desire. How does that version walk, speak, think, breathe? What does that version no longer tolerate or chase? That is the state you must take residence in, not as a visitor, but as a citizen. Not just when you're meditating, not just when you're journaling, but always. You must make your future self your default self. Let go of chasing the thing. Become the one who always had it. But further we can say, well, here, you're not so big enough.
You're not so deeply connected with something. It creates it. The moment you begin acting, thinking, and feeling from the identity of your desired self, regardless of what the mirror shows your reflection, must eventually shift. Why? Because outer circumstance is a consequence, a shadow. It can't help but realign with the being that casts it. The logical mind will panic. But this isn't real. You can't just act rich when you're broke. You can't be in love if you're alone. That's fake. But that's the lie. Pretending to be small while you are infinite, that's fake. Pretending to be broke while claiming abundance is your birthright, that's fake. Choosing a diminished identity just because the external hasn't caught up yet, that's fake. What's real is the version of you that feels alive with wholeness, even when the bank account says otherwise. What's real is the peace of knowing it's done, even when nothing outside confirms it. Your job is not to convince the world. Your job is to become the version who doesn't need convincing. The shift will come when you stop asking, "When will I have it?" and start declaring, "I already am it." Not because it fits the facts, but because you refuse to shrink anymore. Your current conditions are not your truth, they are your echo. If you want to live in a new reality, you must change the one creating it. Everything changes when you stop trying to escape your circumstance and begin living from your identity. You are not meant to wait for permission. Reality will reflect who you are. Not who you try to be, not who you wish you were, but who you are being now. In feeling, in attention, in vibration. That's the seat of the shift. That's the throne from which you call your kingdom into form. So decide now. Let your past self be nothing more than a costume you've outgrown. Slip into the presence of your wished-for self with quiet confidence. No begging, no proving, no performing. Just being. You're not trying to become successful. You are success learning to express more of itself. You're not trying to find love. You are love remembering who it is. You're not here to fix your life. You are here to reveal the version of you who never needed fixing. From this state, manifestation is not a task. It's a byproduct.
All it takes is this.
Stop trying to change the mirror. Be the one the mirror must reflect.
Identity first. Reality follows.
Lesson 8. From lack to love. Lack is not absence. It is misidentification. When you feel lack, you're not truly missing something. You're simply not aligned with the version of you who already has it. You're viewing life through the lens of, "I don't have," casting yourself as the one who is separate from your desire. But what if lack isn't real? What if it's just a signal that you've momentarily forgotten who you really are? You were never meant to chase. You were meant to choose. And love is the choosing power. Lack contracts. Love expands. Lack says, "I need to get this so I can feel whole." Love says, "I am whole, and because I am whole, the world must reflect that." In the realm of love, everything is already yours. Not in the future, now. The thing you yearn for is not waiting for time. It's waiting for your recognition. That recognition doesn't come from striving harder. It comes from an inner surrender to love itself. To shift from lack to love is to dissolve the illusion of distance. It's dissolving the dream that something is missing. It's waking up to the truth that you are the source of everything that appears to be out there. And when you live from that knowing, from that still inner flame of fullness, the world starts moving differently around you. Circumstances realign, opportunities magnetize. People show up, but not to complete you, to complement what you've already anchored within. This shift begins not with action, but with being. Listen to that. You do not need to fix your life. You need to realign with the version of you who is already living the life you crave. That version is real. It's not hypothetical. It's a vibrational reality waiting to be entered by you. And the door is love. Not the sappy, sentimental kind, but the deep, electric, unconditional love that says, "I choose to feel it as done. I choose to know that I'm not missing anything. I choose to love what is, even as I call forth what could be." Some people try to manifest from fear, from panic, from urgency. I need this money now. I need this person to call. I need out of this job or I'll collapse. But fear cannot create. At best, it replicates what already exists. Panic is the language of the 3D mind, scrambling for control. But love is quiet. Love is confident. Love knows the end is already established and just enjoys seeing how reality catches up. When you choose love, you inhabit a frequency that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't doubt. Instead, you rest in the grace of knowing. You walk differently. You breathe differently. You don't look at bills and see pressure. You see temporary data trying to pull you back into a dead pattern. You don't interpret silence as rejection. You bask in it as space for alignment. When you choose love, life feels romantic again, cosmic again, holy again. Your circumstances may not change overnight, but your experience of them transforms instantly. And that one shift is enough to start bending time. This is not about ignoring your emotions. It's about sourcing them from a higher place. You might still feel fear rise, old thoughts whisper that it's not working, or a few doubts knock at the door. But you no longer answer with desperation. You answer with remembrance. You remember who you are. You remember that creation starts inside. You remember that every outer delay is just giving you more time to embody love. In this new posture of being, miracles unfold so naturally that they almost seem incidental. A text arrives, but you're not shocked. You already felt chosen. Checks clear, but you're not surprised. You already felt abundant. You meet someone new, and it's no longer a rescue mission, it's a resonance. And you realize the real gift of manifestation isn't what comes, it's who you get to be while it comes. So let lack go, not by resisting it, but by loving it into wholeness. Let it teach you where you've been viewing yourself as less than, and respond with gentleness. Not everything needs to be solved. Some things need to be seen through. And when you look at your desire through the eyes of love, it stops being far away. It starts being familiar. You don't need to convince the universe. You only need to remember your union with it. You are not outside of life trying to get in. You are the pulse of life itself. Choosing, loving, expanding. So, what would it feel like to be done?
Go there. Breathe there. Love. From there. And watch. Everything will follow.
Lesson 9. You are the operant power. Nothing outside you decides. There is no fate, no circumstance, no past pattern holding the reins. You are the operant power, the sole cause, the singular source of your reality. Not sometimes, not when you feel aligned, always. Even if you don't remember choosing it, even if it seems like life is happening to you, it's not. It's happening from you. The world is not reacting to your words, it's responding to your state. You cannot plant seeds of "I am not enough" and harvest a life of abundance. You cannot dwell in doubt and expect certainty to arrive. The law is infinite in its grace, yet precise in its function. Whatever you accept as true within yourself, it must make visible in form. You're not a reactor to life's conditions, you are the projector of them. This is not meant to pressure you, it is meant to return you. Return you to the throne you forgot you sat on, because the one who begs the world to change is still under the illusion that the world holds the power. It doesn't. The cause is in you, the outer is just the echo. Your desire isn't asking for hope. It's offering a version of yourself, a higher identity, a richer reality, a truer you. The role is ready, the scene is set, but you must show up in character, not partially, not with hesitation, but fully, as the embodied end, as the you with no story of why it can't happen, no waiting for signs, no bargaining, just a quiet knowing that what you assume within must become without. When you accept this, life stops being random, coincidence diminishes, synchronicity amplifies, patterns surface, then shatter, because now you're operating with intention, not hoping it works, knowing it works. You shift from thinking about manifestation to realizing that you are manifestation in motion. You are the field, the energy, and the effect. Many people treat reality like a wall to push against, but life is a mirror, not a wall. Push all you want, it reflects only what you are. If you continue trying to fix the reflection, you'll exhaust yourself rearranging shadows. But change the light within and the entire scene reorganizes. You don't need tools. You don't need perfect meditations, full moon rituals, or daily affirmations screamed into the void. These are fine if they support your knowing, but they are not your power. You are your power. Your assumption is your power. Your felt identity is the switch that turns the current on. And once you assume something is done within, reality has no choice but to keep pace with that view. The world is not testing you, it's reflecting you. And you are not here to play small with your infinite spirit. You are here to command with love, to declare with softness but certainty, "This is who I am now." And everything obeys. This is why your reaction to life is so sacred. React as if you are still the version who is waiting, and you freeze the past in place. But respond as the being who already holds the end, and you free reality to catch up. You move first not with effort, but with belief. Not with control, but with conviction. That's the operant key. Say it softly within yourself now. I am the operant power. I do not need permission. I do not wait for proof. I simply decide, and the universe realigns. Not because I forced it, but because I became it. This isn't ego. This is essence. The truth of who you already are underneath the noise, the doubts, the memory of delay. When you shift your state, the script reshapes. It must. Consciousness creates form. Always, and you are consciousness embodied. Refuse to be hypnotized by form. Let it morph. Let it lag. But don't let it convince you. The only law is what you accept as done within your innermost being. You are not a participant in life. You are the divine participant, the chooser, the causer, the imaginer through which all things become. And if that's true, and it is, what do you now choose? What state do you now wear, not for a moment, but as a home? What do you declare as done, feel as real, and live as normal? Because once you do, reality is already catching up. Lesson 10. Imagination is more real than reality. Close your eyes. Breathe. Let the world go blurry for a moment. Forget what day it is. Forget where you are. Sink deeper. Now ask yourself, what do you truly want? Not what you think is possible. Not what your past has conditioned you to desire. But the truest vision. The one you see when no one's watching. That vision? It's not fantasy. It's not a dream. It's a blueprint. And the moment you imagine it, it's already real. Imagination is not child's play. It's divine strategy. It's the original canvas of creation. Every skyscraper you've walked past, every song you've heard, every relationship you've envied, it all began in someone's mind. Unseen doesn't mean untrue. The invisible always gives birth to the visible, but most people worship the effect while doubting the cause. They call what's in front of them real and what lives inside as just imagination. This is backwards living. Nothing you see now exists without first being imagined. The entire material world is a projection of the energetic world, and your imagination is the powerhouse of that projection. But here's where it gets miraculous. It doesn't just reflect what's destined to be, it dictates it. When you imagine, vividly, repeatedly, with emotional investment, you are not escaping reality. You are editing it. You're setting the frequency of what comes next. You're rehearsing your role in the future you choose to inhabit. Your senses, addicted to the limitations of now, will try to pull you back. They'll whisper lies in the language of logic. That's not happening yet. Be realistic. Look at the facts. But your imagination doesn't deal in facts. It deals in truth. And truth is timeless. Your wish already exists on the level of consciousness. Imagination is the bridge. Here's the twist. Most people are using their imagination, unconsciously, to rehearse what they don't want. They play worst-case scenarios. They build arguments that haven't happened yet. They mentally relive disappointments. They imagine rejection before it arrives. And then they wonder why life keeps serving the same cycles. They are loyal to nightmares and suspicious of dreams. But the awakened one, the conscious creator, uses imagination on purpose. Not for escape, but embodiment. You must begin to see yourself already in possession of the thing you want. Not as a cinematic daydream, but as an inner conviction. Visualize the scene that would take place after your wish has been fulfilled. The after-the-fact moment. Will someone congratulate you? Will you wake up in a new space? Will you feel a calm relief or a bursting joy? Dwell there. Touch it with your mind so often that it becomes normal. Let it impress your subconscious until life has no choice but to catch up. This is not pretending. Pretending implies doubt. Imagination implies design. You're not hoping this becomes real. You're knowing it already is. In the mind of the true self, time folds. You're not imagining something that's far away. You're tuning into what you're aligned with, and the universe can only deliver what you are a match to. Awareness becomes form. Consciousness becomes condition. Feel the richness of your imagined life. Let it soften your breath.
Let it settle into your bones. You don't need to try hard. You just need to yield to it. It's not about forcing pictures into your mind. It's about surrendering into the knowing that you are always creating. So you might as well create what you desire. Even just 5 minutes of deep, authentic imagination can do more than 5 months of hustle. Because vibration isn't linear, it's exponential. A single flash of inner certainty can uproot years of doubt. And when fear creeps in, and it will, return to the image, but this time, feel it from the inside. Don't watch the scene. Be in the scene. Hear your voice. Look through your own eyes. Don't visualize what you want. Visualize from already having it. The more real it becomes to you, privately, intimately, emotionally, the less you rely on external signs. People may say, but nothing has changed. And you'll smile, knowing everything has, because you've changed. And life is just catching up to the new screenplay. So dwell in your imagination as the place of truth. Visit it often. Then, visit it until you don't have to anymore, because you've become it. Let your imagination be the rehearsal room for your future, but not some distant future. This one, the one unfolding now. You don't need permission. You don't need statistics. You don't need the odds in your favor. You just need vision, emotionalized with belief. Because imagination doesn't follow reality. Reality follows imagination. Lesson 11. Let the world catch up. There comes a moment on this journey when you simply stop negotiating with the outside world. You no longer plead with it to show you signs. You no longer beg for proof. You no longer try to convince anyone, including yourself, that it's working. You know it's done, and now, all that remains is to let the world catch up with what you've already claimed in consciousness. This is not passivity, it's certainty. It's a quiet, unshakable knowing that reality must match the internal blueprint, because that's the law. You've moved beyond needing to convince yourself. You've moved into being. And once you've entered that inner dimension where the wish fulfilled already lives, time becomes irrelevant. How long it takes doesn't matter, because delay doesn't mean denial. It simply means the unseen is still arranging the visible. When you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, your job is not to do more. It's to disturb less. The moment you start asking, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? You slip out of the end and back into separation. Impatience is evidence you've stepped out of the state. The state of having doesn't rush. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need validation. Because having is a frequency, and frequencies don't beg. They attract. You don't plant a seed and then dig it up every day to yell at it for not growing fast enough. You prepare the soil. You provide light. You water it with trust. And then you wait. With peace, not a passive, bored kind of waiting, but a deeply alive, celebratory waiting, knowing the manifestation is already done in the invisible. The flower doesn't bloom because of your impatience. It blooms because you honored the process it required. The same is true in your creation. You've made it real by living from it. Your imaginal act, your inner environment, your felt identity, those are the seeds. And now, rather than hustle to make something happen, you hold the vibration. You nourish your faith. You choose again and again not to be fooled by appearances. You treat your desire like a promise that has already been kept, and live as if fulfillment is your current address. This is why so many fail, because they quit between the imaginal act and the physical echo. They dig up the seed, they waver, they believe the scene instead of the state. But you are different. You now understand the sacred delay. What you receive in physical form is always echo, always downstream of consciousness. So even if nothing appears to change yet, you have. And that is the cause. Every day your only task is this. Remember the truth. Stay loyal to the unseen. When a thought comes that contradicts your desire, you don't fight it. You smile at it, knowing it's an old residue and not a sign. You gently return to the feeling of it already being so. You let the doubt pass like a cloud in front of the sun. And each time you return home to the state, you collapse potential into form. This trust is radical. It is revolutionary. It makes no sense to the logical mind, which wants to track, measure, prove. But you aren't manifesting with logic. You're manifesting with the language of the soul, feeling. And the soul feels truth before it sees evidence.
The soul shakes hands with the future in silence. Let the world catch up. Let the people change. Let the opportunities find you. That's not your work. Your only mission is embodiment. Be the one who already has it. Speak like it. Walk like it. Think like it. Not to get it, but because it's who you've become. The world will eventually trip over itself to reflect what you feel consistently, but you don't wait for it. You move first. Always. You're not holding the vision, you're living in it. You don't visualize to attract, you align to remember. The world will begin to echo back your new assumption, but softly at first. A phrase in someone's mouth. A glimpse of a possibility once closed. A shift in how you're treated. These are the shadows that come before the full form. Receive them with quiet joy, but don't cling. They are proof of what is catching up, not proof of what is becoming. It has already become. In you. That's enough. Keep walking in it. Keep feeding the inner flame. Keep knowing that the universe rearranges itself to meet your faith in the feeling. And while it does, while timelines realign and paths open in unseen dimensions, you remain still in your conviction. There is no delay. There's only alignment. And you're perfectly aligned. It is done. Now let the world remember. Let the world catch up. Lesson 12. Live it until it lives through you. There comes a point when the desire is no longer a desire. It's a knowing. It doesn't scream for your attention anymore. It doesn't ache. It doesn't even feel like a goal. It feels like you. This is the moment manifestation is no longer something you do. It's something you are. You're no longer reciting affirmations hoping to get there. You're no longer visualizing because you want it so badly. You're not efforting your way through techniques. You are simply living as if your wish is already so real that it lives through you. This is the highest point of transformation. When you no longer visit the state, you've become it. At first you pretend, you affirm, you visualize, you shift states over and over, you sit in the stillness and imagine. You ask, what would it feel like if it were already done? That bridge from the old self to the new feels like practice. But the truth is, every rehearsal is a rehearsal for reality. Slowly, and then all at once, the idea solidifies into your identity. Not because you forced it, but because you fed it, with attention, with emotion, with silent confidence until it was louder than your senses. Living in the wish fulfilled isn't an act, it's embodiment. It's being so saturated with the feeling of your desire being real that your energy speaks it before your mouth does. You walk like it, you breathe like it, you rest like it. You wake up and fall asleep, rooted in the vibration of this is already mine. And this naturalness, this deep ease, becomes your magnetic field. You are no longer looking for signs. You are no longer refreshing your bank app for proof. You become blind to the absence of it, not out of denial, out of devotion. You are faithful to your inner world above all else. You don't need to convince yourself anymore. You don't wake up wondering when it's coming. You wake up knowing it's done. Your imagination no longer feels like imagination. It feels like memory. Your inner conversations are no longer future fantasies. They feel like daily recaps. This shift is subtle but seismic. You are no longer hoping. You are no longer debating. You are recalling. Even your actions reflect an unshakable inner alignment. Not frantic action, not forced strategy, but movement that flows from your new identity. You act from a sense of completion. The version of you that already has the thing shows up differently. They don't chase, they create. They're not waiting for validation. They radiate it. And the world begins reshaping itself to match your inner map. Because here's the truth. The 3D world is not a creator. It's a mirror. And by the time the reflection shows up, your transformation is already complete. The evidence arrives late. The results follow the rehearsal. But you go first. You don't wait to feel abundant when the money comes. You feel abundant, and the flow comes. You don't wait to feel chosen when the person picks you. You feel chosen, and your world starts selecting you with synchronicity. You don't wait to be celebrated. You carry the frequency of course they see me. And then they do. Persistence is not pushing. It's remaining. Remaining in the truth you've seen so clearly, within that not even 1,000 empty moments outside can unsee it. That's the kind of resolve that bends time. That's the kind of inner stance that causes the universe to rearrange people, paths, and probabilities for you. When you live it long enough, the external must match it.
Not because the world suddenly approves, but because you've aligned with a version of yourself that doesn't require the world's permission to feel worthy. And that frequency is the real password to your next level. This is not acting in the superficial sense. This is energetic integrity. Who you are on the inside is no longer in negotiation. There is no more oscillation. You've stopped asking. You've started being. This is the true end of manifesting. When there's nothing left to get, because you already are. You are being lived by your own creation. Live it until it lives through you. Let it become your breath, your posture, your background hum. Do it in silence. Do it without needing applause. Do it until trying to be quietly evolves into,
Of course I am. That's when the world can't help but join the conversation. Your soul has already finished. Let the wish fulfill itself through you. It always wanted to.